There you go.
Hi everyone, Sarah here from the Paper Cut. It's our Fun Time Thursday, so we're just getting set up to make sure that we can see. Okay, I can see me, and sound. We just want to make sure that we can hear too. Oh, yep, sound. Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome to Fun Time Thursday. Tonight we're doing flip-flop cards. So we did have a kit available for tonight, and I still do have some available left. If you didn't order one and you watch and you're like, hey, I want to do that, you can still go ahead and order the kit. And some of you may already have some flip-flop cards. So we are going to make the two cards first, just to get used to how to fold them and assemble them, and then we're going to go through the die cutting. So if you are just going to die cut with us, you want to pull out, so some of you ordered our deep edge dies. They're the black dies, and I forgot to bring the packages in here, but otherwise, like, you can use just a regular thin die. So if you're going to die cut with us later, we'll be about a half an hour maybe working on cards, maybe a little bit more because sometimes I talk a lot, and then we'll go on to die cutting, especially because I have it all set up for making my cards, and then we'll make them, we'll get all the supplies gone, and then we will bring my die cutter over here and we'll do some die cutting. So, but I wanted to share with you, so for the Crafters Classroom, which I talked about last week, I'm doing magic cards. So if you haven't joined that group, I'll put it down later. I've got the logo, but on that group, May 14th, I am doing magic cards. So 3 different magic cards, and that's my mom coughing away in the background. So she's sick. I told her she didn't have to come tonight. I would have gotten my friend Tracy to come, and she should stay home. But so wish her well so she gets better.
No COVID though.
So it's not COVID though. She did get tested twice just to make sure. But anyways, so we have magic cards. So this is one. These 3 magic cards are using one set from Impression Obsession, and they started doing like a special monthly set. So these 3 cards, isn't he cute, the little mouse, are all made out of the same set, with the exception of the background stamps. So, but the mouse, the chicks, and the bunnies are all with a special limited edition set from Impression Obsession. And like, this is their April set. I'll have a few where you can get a few from me in May, but go ahead and you can get it from Impression Obsession right now this month. So anyways, so that's the Crafters Classroom project on May 14th, and that's up on our class page also. So you can get that and the flip-flop tonight's class on the class page if you want. So let's go down to the table.
You're there.
Okay, and so first I'm just going to put this Crafters Classroom. This is what I was talking about. This is a group on Facebook. It's called Crafters Classroom. It's going to be more focused on teaching rather than selling. So it'll always be teaching something, whether it's a demo or whether it's a craft along. And the first date is Saturday, May 14th. So if you search for Crafters Classroom, this is the logo that will come up, and then you'll hit join. There's 3 questions, you'll answer them, and then you'll be in the group. So, and then you can order whatever kits are available.
I just posted the link.
Okay, great. So tonight we are doing flip-flop cards.
Can we get them together, Sarah?
You can, but we're not going to ship. We'll probably be ready to ship the magic cards. I know it says May 1st, but we'll probably be ready to ship the magic cards almost like next week. So if you order them both tonight, we'll hold it and ship it together. So, I mean, you're not doing this one tonight with us anyways, so you'll just have to wait. And as always, this is saved on my YouTube channel and on my Facebook page. So yeah, you can order them both together, but flip-flop cards are going to come with the magic cards, and that's going to be closer, to a week and a half, or, maybe just a week. And then they'll just come together. So yes, you can get them together. So in this kit though, you get the kits to make these 2 cards, and then you get, I'm gonna just open this up and show you what you get in here. Because I did a little bit bigger than just the 2 card kit. I did the 2 card kit, plus you get an extra 4 cards, plus 4 envelopes, plus some extra pattern paper to make your own designs. So yeah, you get the specific kit with everything that we're gonna do tonight. And we are gonna start with the girl, Birthday Queen. So pull that one out first. And then we're gonna go on to the birthday candles, the Grocer Craft one. And then we're just gonna pull 1 or 2 out of here and go through the die cutting, both with the deep etch dies and your regular dies. So let's start with the Birthday Queen. I already pulled all my stuff out. Well, actually, I didn't pull it out. I didn't want to waste a kit, so I just assembled one for myself. So in the kit, you have the long piece of paper, and we already pre-cut these. And I am going to go through the die cutting with you, but we're going to go through the assembly first just to get a feel for how this card folds and, you know, what the windows are and how they go together and all that stuff. So, and then you should have 2 pieces of printed paper. One is larger, one is smaller. You should have this piece, which I sent an email out today. I was kind of late on that, but I sent an email out today and said you could color and fussy cut these 2 images out. You can also cut this image out. On mine, I stamped it in the card, but we're just going to cut it out and attach it because, or you can just, you know, you can attach it however you want. I just couldn't pre-stamp everybody's cards.
Brian says, when are these going out? Brian Urban.
Oh, these already went out. The magic cards, hopefully next week or the week after. So Becky's like, she's on it. She's like almost done with these already. Well, she's pretty far. She's waiting for me. Anyways, you should have a printed strip. You'll have a piece of Wild Orchid. Now this color, Wild Orchid, is a discontinued color. So if you like it, it's only available in 8.5 by 11. It is on our website, but that's all we have left is 8.5 by 11. And get it now because it's going to be gone. And it's not our choice. The mill discontinued it.
Hey,
so.
Sarah.
Yes.
Are there dies for those stamp sets?
I don't think this stamp set has a die. So this is the stamp set that I used, and this is an Impression Obsession stamp set 2. It's called Birthday Queen. And yeah, this is what I used. And yeah, I don't think there's a die set for this. Unfortunately, you have to fussy cut. I know, fussy cutting sucks. Or you could just look at it as something relaxing, sitting in front of the TV. Obviously, if you're in the middle of a class, it's not very relaxing. But then you have this piece that's printed, and this one that's printed, some gems, and a magic card slider die. Okay, so let's just first look at the card. Unfold your whole card. Okay, and we kind of folded it because we had to put it in the package. Now, if you start out and you have your little spot at the end, and there is a picture here. So we're looking at this first picture right here, and I'm just going to talk for a minute, and then we're going to start attaching some pieces. But you're going to start with just the little panel at the end, and the bigger panel on your right, the little panel on your left. We're just going to start folding it. So, and we're not going to fold it onto each other yet, but we're just going to fold it as a mountain or valley fold. So as you're looking at it, and you have a window here, because I pre-cut those for you, and we'll go through the cutting later, we're going to mountain fold, and then kind of unfold it, then a mountain fold, and you see that those 2 windows will kind of go together. And then we have a valley fold, and now you see if you put them all together, they all kind of pile up on top of each other, which is kind of what you want. And then another mountain fold. So to actually fold this card together to make it flip-flop, we are going to just kind of fold those 3 windows on top of each other, fold this longer panel to the back, and this short panel is going to kind of just fit in there, and that's the panel that kind of flops around. So that's kind of the motion of the card. So now let's turn it over and look at the other side, which we're looking at the bottom picture now. So this is the inside view. This is where some of your tape is going to go. It's where your inside panels are going to go. So let's just start assembling stuff. And if you want, I said you can pull out Post-it notes. So actually, turn it back over again. I said you could pull out Post-it notes, and sometimes when I'm new at these cards, and this is the way I do it when I'm in a bigger class and it's in person, I'll have everybody put Post-it notes, and they'll actually, or you can write on it with a pencil, and they'll say, this is the front. And then we'll turn it over, we'll say, then this is the panel that the striped paper goes on. And you can actually write on your panels, because our paper is actually physically going to cover that stuff up. So, and then on the inside, I'll have people put a little Post-it note on there, especially if we're stamping right through to the card. Like right here is where your words will go. And you know that because that window is what you're stamping your words through. But this is what I do when we're in class, is we actually go through and put little Post-its on there. And then this panel over here, this is where my other words go. And then I can actually fold this one over and I can stamp my words through there. We have panels that I already pre-did, but this kind of just keeps it together so you kind of don't get lost in what you're doing. And like I said, because I have layers that are attaching, you don't have to put Post-its. You could actually write right on there, because this one is the cake and the other one, what does it say? Fabulous. But when I'm teaching class in person, because I can't run around and help 30 people at one time, I would have them put the Post-it notes on there so they knew exactly which words were going on which panel, and how to fold it. So now we can start attaching stuff. So we have our words that go here, and they're the fabulous words. So this is going to attach onto here. Now, one thing I want to caution you about is you want to take and fold it before you attach it, and just make sure for the placement. Most of them I cut to the correct size, but there's a few of them where it would have an equal border, but there's a few of them that I cut the wrong end first. So there's a few of them that you're going to be more off to the left side, and you can see that because if you turn your panel over, see how the window, you can see it right through the window. So before you attach it down with glue, make sure that you know the placement of that. So now that I know the placement, I am going to turn it over and put adhesive on it. So like I said, most of yours are going to fit centered on that panel. Mine and a few other people are going to be more to the left-hand side. But again, you can kind of place it there, turn it over, and make sure it's in the window. So if you are stamping straight onto here, you can use this pre-die cut window and you can stamp right through the window. Okay? Then we're going to go and we're going to do our have your cake and eat it too words. And this one, you can see how now I'm just going to flop it the other way, because this window, you can make sure it's placed right by flopping that over and you can look at it. Now there is more blank space up here because that's where we're going to cut a strip of the Wild Orchid Miri Sparkle. And yeah, you might have to move it left or right just a tiny bit. Just don't put it over that score. But I'm just going to make sure my placement is right. And I have my placement, so I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to put tape on it. The instructions are a great reference for when you're making another card. Then you can kind of see what's going on which panel. So I don't know if you all keep my instructions, but this one I recommend that you definitely keep. So we're going to snip this, cut it straight, or use a personal paper trimmer. So I'm just going to cut it straight. And I'm just going to attach it. Now it doesn't matter whether it's hanging over or not, or if you want to cut it shorter. If you leave it nice and long, then you don't have to worry about making sure it's exactly centered, because you only see what's through that window. With this card, you never see the background, so it doesn't matter if it's way over to one side or over to the other. I'm going to put adhesive on the back of that one. I'm going to wait on my gems until the end. But I can kind of look and make sure that, I want it centered top to bottom maybe. And I want it straight, kind of. Okay, that's not very straight. And see how I put that one on too long on the end, and I can just snip it off. It doesn't matter. There we go. So that's what we have on the inside. Now the last thing that we're putting on the inside is our magic card slider. The magic card slider just helps this as a guide for when it's opening and closing. It kind of stays shut. And this was actually my youngest son's idea. I gave him one of these cards, and when he opened it at first, hang on, I'm just gonna fold a card so I can show you. When it didn't have a magic card slider, and he was like, this was flopping all over the place. So he's like, can't you use your magic card slider on that? So that was actually Josh's idea. And it just kind of guides that during the flip-flop part of it. So the magic card slider just kind of guides it.
Oh, that Josh.
Yeah. I thought that's pretty smart.
But
Why
he
didn't
knows
I
about
think of
magic
it?
card sliders. I'm impressed.
Yeah. So these, Becky pre-did these for you. She pre-put tape on them on this one. When we do the other card, she didn't assemble them for you. So I figured we'd start out with it assembled, and then with the next one, you're going to have to assemble it. So we're going to take the backing off both ends. And now before attaching it, I just want to talk for a minute like I normally do. It does extend a little long. Okay, I'll turn it upside down. So we are going to have to, trim a little bit off, and it doesn't matter. We can trim a little bit off at this end, or we can trim a little bit off at that end. The other thing is, depending on your shape of the window, you want to make sure, now I've got tape on here, so you want to make sure that your slider isn't too far up. Okay, so if your shape goes down low, you want to make sure that your slider is down low below it. Okay, because you don't want to see it through the window. So we're going to just put ours, fairly close to the bottom. And I like to start at this score right here. So don't put it over the score, just kind of set it right up to the score and attach it. And then just flatten it out and attach on the other end. Now it's going to stick out a little far, and you are going to trim that off. So we're going to trim that little bit off right there. And then we are going to push our slider all the way over to the other side. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and just put our pieces on the other side, minus our pieces that we have to cut. But we're going to put our main pieces on the other side, just because it's easier to do when it's nice and flat. So go ahead and flip your card over. So now we're going to have, if you did Post-it notes or if you wrote on them, you should see your front on the left-hand side and your striped, your third window right here. So 1, 2, 3 is where your striped piece goes. So before you attach, I'm just going to have you look at them because I cut them a hair long in case when I was die cutting it, I was a little bit off. I wanted a little wiggle room in there. So you can see that mine, I don't have an equal border all the way around it. It's a little bit long on this side, and I'm just going to take my personal paper trimmer and trim that off. And that's because I cut it long, because I was doing the die cutting, and in case I was a little bit off, I wanted you guys to have a little wiggle room that you could adjust it. So I'm going to pull my personal paper trimmer over here, and I'm just going to cut a little bit off of this end, and that's just making a slight adjustment. Okay, so now I should have a fairly close to equal border. Yep, I did pretty good. Okay, so now we're going to put two-sided tape on there and attach it, and this is just our front. Oh, one thing I could have done before I attached it, which I didn't do it, was I could have trimmed my pattern piece that's going to go on there. Oh well, I'll do that after. So, okay, so you're attaching that piece on there. Okay, and then we have our pattern paper piece. And you can trim that to whatever the length, which is close to 5 1/4. It might be 5 1/8 now. Okay, well, I did it pretty good. So now I'm going to attach that piece on there. You guys are working. You're quiet tonight.
Yeah, very quiet tonight, Sarah. Probably can't think over my coughing.
You guys aren't asking questions, so then my mom doesn't have to talk. So, okay. So now, and you guys have your little picture that you could be looking at right here. This is where we put our Post-it note that said striped. So we're going to have our striped piece. Now this one, again, you might have to adjust it. So I'm going to trim a little bit off the one end. So, and it's going to vary per each person's card. Just because these are hand die cut rather than machine die cut. So, okay. Alrighty. So we have our striped piece in there. Now the only other thing is we're going to put our birthday queen and our birthday crown there. I am going to cut out my queen and just set it there. I'm going to wait on my crown until I cut it out because, yeah, I didn't do my homework. And you could have cut this as a rectangle, or you could more fussy cut it. I'm fussy cutting mine. Like I said, on my original one, I did stamp right on that panel, but I didn't have stamps for all of you, and this just seemed easier. So. All right. And then I did kind of just attach that, so I left some room for my crown, so I am going to attach that. I'll wait and attach my crown. I have to fussy cut that out. I was a bad student and didn't.
Well, you are talented with that big scissors, fussy cutting.
That is a pretty big scissors, and right in front of me I have two little ones. I didn't even think about it. This one's just sitting here, so I just like pulled it out.
Funny.
So now we actually have to put adhesive on the inside so we can attach this whole thing together. So we're going to now flip it over because no adhesive goes on this side at all. So no adhesive goes on this side. We're going to flip it back over. And let's see. We are going to first attach, I sometimes have to think about it. These two cards get attached together, and then, yeah. So it's these two cards get attached. So on your directions, it says to put tape on this panel right here. And you can put it all the way around. And it's going to turn and attach over onto this. So our tape is going to end up sticking right here. So we're going to put tape on this panel. And you're not going to see it because these panels are going to be stuck together. So you can go ahead and put tape all the way around. And then this is going to fold over onto there so our windows line up. So this card, I think I only did it once last year.
Did you attach the birthday queen?
I didn't attach the birthday queen yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, because I didn't fussy cut her out. See, here's mine. There's my birthday queen. She's not cut out yet, so that's why, that was my reason for not attaching her. So right now we're putting tape on this panel. So this is basically the middle panel. Okay, so we have our little panel, our big panel with our window, our very middle panel, our other panel with the window, and the end. So this is the very middle panel. We're putting tape over on it. And since we pre-folded it, we can kind of see the mountains and valleys. And so this is a valley fold. It's going to flop over and just attach right here. And our two windows are going to line up together. So we're just going to flop that over. Okay, so now this, our slider piece, if we fold this little flap in, okay, this little slider piece is going to end up attaching to right here. So if we fold this little flap in, just fold it, maybe put, or actually this will be up a little bit higher. So this little slider piece is going to end up attaching right here. And what's going to happen is once that attaches, then we can flop it. Flip, flop, flip, flop. Okay, so did anybody miss that? So we had our one panel. Actually, I can pull one over here. So we had, in case you're behind a little, we ended up putting tape right here, and it flopped over, so these two windows were together, and then we flopped it back, and that's how we got it to this point right here. And we're going to fold this over, and this little tape jobby, or this is our slider piece that slides back and forth, is going to attach to this panel right here. So now you can take your tape off, and now it doesn't matter, you can either go this way or you can go that way. I kind of like doing my single panel over. And now we can do our flip flop, and it kind of just follows that magic card slider die. Now we can go ahead and cut out our you guys are probably ahead of me, so I'm just going to fussy cut out, and this scissors is too small. That one's too big, that one's too small, and this one's just right. Actually, I don't think I'm going to cut my crown out. That one was kind of a bit of a pain in the patootie because I cut it out around all the little things that are sticking up, the jewels. So I'm going to finish cutting this one out later. So this one is going to attach to right here, but I am going to cut this one a little bit better. See how I cut it on my original one? And I did pile it up with a little bit thicker foam tape. So I'm going to just hold off on the cutting of the crown. And I'm going to cut my birthday queen. You can attach your gems up here. So So yeah, if you are working along with me and ahead of me because you did your homework, you can go ahead and get your other one out. And just sit back. Maybe get a drink, a beverage, a dessert, a cupcake, a snack.
Ice cream.
Ice cream, yeah. My mom's ice cream.
God, I put my ice cream in the refrigerator last night instead of in the freezer, so I didn't have any this afternoon.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Well, I fixed it. I went out to the grocery store.
Oh. Okay. So, I mean, she's a little bit hard to cut out too. She's got a bunch of little corners in her, so she's not a good one to be cutting out on camera either, but I'll do her.
And yeah, Penny, if you have arthritis and a little bit of carpal tunnel, that's not easy to do.
Oh, so Penny, are you the one that asked about the dye?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. Dyes are good for that. And, you know, you get my designs, and if you ever want to use something of your own, because it works better for, you know, for who you're giving it to, even if you have something that works a little bit better for who you're going to give it to, you are definitely more than welcome to switch out stamps and things like that. So yeah, Penny, if you have a stamp and a die, you know, from a different company maybe that works a little bit better than this one, so you don't have to cut her out, yeah, feel free to change anything up. You know, I just always give you the idea, and you can alter it a little bit to your needs. So I am always good with, and the other thing that I'm always good with, if you ever want to like use my designs for teaching your friends, you know, teaching teaching kids, teaching whoever, go for it. So I did use foam tape on the back of her, and I did pre-cut myself some foam tape this time, which I don't always do, but I did this time. I do like to attach my foam tape to this little, this is a ribbon spool, but it's really nice because then it's all pre-cut for you. And you can just plop it down. But yeah, by all means, if you ever want to use my cards or what you learn in class, go for it. Because then if you don't have to come up with an idea. And that just means you liked it, so I like to hear that. How did I do her? Oh, I did her right at the edge. Okay, so I think the last thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to do my crown because that one was kind of a pain. I'm just going to attach my gems on there. And then we're going to go on to the other one. So the other one, you will need a yellow ink pad, an orange ink pad, a pink ink pad, and some blending brushes. So you can get those out while I'm attaching my gems. Okay, but yeah, we have our flip-flop. And I'll attach my crown later.
Penny says she'd rather have you come and teach the class to a group of ladies instead of her.
All right, so let's go on to our birthday candle, the Grocer Craft one. And in here you should have a little bag of stuff. You have 2 pieces of cream because we're going to trim those. You have these 2 pieces of cream that stay those sizes. you have your Grocer Craft flip-flop card, and your 2 pieces of patterned paper. So we're going to start with our brush blending, and I'm going to pull my sample out here. So let's just start with our brush blending first, because we're going to brush blend a few things. We're going to brush blend this little piece, ends up being right here. So you really just need it at the top. And this piece is just what is seen through here. So you really only have to do this upper corner. This strip, we're using one of these bigger pieces for that strip. So you'll just do, you know, just about an inch. And this one I'm letting you cut yourself. And then the other thing is in our little bag. So we have our happy birthday. So let's do our brush blending first. And I did not poke mine out. So I didn't weed it. So now I'm weeding this. Okay, so these are my 4 pieces that I'm going to brush blend. And I have my yellow. I'm going to take my card and move it off to the side. I have my yellow, I have my orange, and I have a pink. So it doesn't matter what you start with, but as long as I'm doing yellow, so I am going to just kind of go in and do some yellow up here, some yellow up here, and then yellow on one side or the other. And see my background, I kind of did yellow, then orange, then pink. So I'm just going to start with my yellow. Okay, so I'm going to start off the edge and just kind of brush blend in. You don't have to brush blend this whole thing because you're only going to see, here's one that I have done that's open. So you're only going to see this upper corner because it's what is seen through that window. And likewise for this one, it's what's behind that cake. So yeah, you don't need to do the whole thing. Just do what's seen in this upper corner and what's seen through that window. I'm just going to do all of my yellows at one time. And you can always come back and add more if you want. And I just kind of did my yellow, you know, some orange and then some pink. And my yellow, my orange, and then some pink. And then I'm going to do yellow, orange in the middle, and then pink. And I'm going to kind of do the same thing on this piece, where I'm going to do yellow, then orange, then pink. And if you want to pull out for the longer piece, if you want to pull out your Make-A-Wish, just so you have a frame of reference of how long that needs to be, you can pull out your Make-A-Wish. Now we're going to trim that down just a little. Actually, we don't need to trim it down. So, but that's your length that you're going to need. So I did my yellow on all of them. So now let's pull my orange out. Not that I'm totally done with my yellow, because if I want it darker, I might go back to my yellow again. Okay. I have to turn mine. I like to go off the edge that's closest to myself. So yeah, I only turned that just for my own personal, how I like to work. I like to work off the edge that's almost closest to me. So the paper that we're blending on is the Cougar Opaque. And my mom stepped away for a minute, so if you have a question, just kind of hold off. I'm not ignoring you. And then this one is a little trickier because I'm going to just kind of brush blend in the middle. So I'm going to use more an edge. I told my mom I could get somebody to come and help me tonight, and she was like, no, I'm fine. Yeah, no. Oh, there's all kinds of comments here. Okay. I started on an iPad being able to watch my comments, and I wasn't getting any comments coming up. But now I just tapped on it, and bam, they were all there. So see how I'm going to add some yellow right there just to blend that a little bit better. But I'm going to just do my pinks first. So let's get my pink going here. And I've moved all my papers around already. This pink I just happen to like, so. And I had mentioned that I don't really need this whole sheet, but if you cover the whole sheet, it's okay. You okay?
Yeah. Pretty card, Sarah. Pretty colors.
Thank you.
Nice for an Easter week card. Oh, gosh.
Okay, now we have our happy birthday left. I'm going to have nice pretty hands too.
Oh.
Okay, so I think that's good for my happy birthday. I am going to go back and add a little bit of yellow to we'll darken some of these up a little bit. This one I think, I just like a bright yellow. So, okay, and then a little bit more on here.
Ooh.
All right, so I think I'm done brush blending. So let's...
You'll have Easter hands. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, Stephanie.
Let's go ahead and take care of this one while we have it out. So this is our Make-A-Wish. This is from Impression Obsession. So this is called I think it's a top edger. And to pop this out, you can either cut from here, from the bottom edge up, but on ours, I think I have it to close to the right length. So if you cut it in from the side, so cut it in from the side. And if it's a little bit crooked down here, you can always, trim that off and trim it up straight if you want. Okay, so we're gonna just, and then you can pop that out of there, which you may have already weeded that. And then I can finish. So that's why I left this piece big, because you can trim it depending on the size of this one, or if you want to cut it down a little bit narrower. I left that one big so you can trim it. Our other cream piece is for trimming also, and I used just a small strip on the front of the card right here, and the other piece is trimmed behind our colored Make-A-Wish. So first we're going to attach this piece onto here and trim it. I like to just kind of trim before I attach because I find it easier. So I'm going to trim this, and then I'm also going to trim a piece of this one. But make sure you have a long strip of here to attach, meaning don't cut it straight across here because otherwise it won't be long enough. Although I'm quite sure that a lot of you probably have cream cardstock at home and could pull a piece out if you did have a little boo-boo. Okay, so we're going to just trim this up right away. And you can either attach your Make-A-Wish, or you can eyeball it, or you can do whatever you want to do. I'm going to kind of eyeball it because that's kind of how I roll. I mean, I'm going to eyeball it and then I'm going to cut straight, hopefully. All right. Oh no, that's too far. See, I've got a piece of paper in there that was totally... There we go. There we go. And then you have a piece that you can use for something else. And then you can cut it to a little bit longer. And then you can take this cream piece, the second one, and you're going to cut one long strip that is about... Well, this is 2 inches to begin with, so you can cut it as wide as you want. I've got it cutting to about a 1/2 inch right now, or 3/8 of an inch, if I'm cutting straight. So this piece I'm going to just set aside. It's for the front. And then I can use this whole hunk, and I'm just going to cut it. And now I am going to attach it so it's not flopping around. The other piece I'm going to attach with foam tape. That's why I didn't want to attach it before I cut it. This one I'm attaching with, just flat tape. So I don't mind attaching that one and then trimming it. So sometimes I trim the little pieces for you all. This time I did not, just because this Make-A-Wish was a little bit variable, depending on die cutting it. So that's why I left you to trim these pieces. I figure you can do a little bit of the work, right? Now I think I am done with my die cutter, or almost done with it. This is going to attach onto here, and I'm going to use foam tape on there. Oh, I should have made sure that this fit on my panel. It does. You want to also make sure that it fits. It goes on one of these inside panels, so you want to make sure it fits on your panel too. That probably would have been a good thing to tell you. But as long as you did it with very narrow borders, our Make-A-Wish was at the right length. But yeah, it needs to fit on the panel of the card.
I'm going to have to sanitize this room after I leave tonight, Sarah. Kill all these germs. Oh my God.
Okay. So we have that ready. Now let's go to, we'll put our happy birthday on there almost last. So let's pull out our card now. And now we're going to get our Post-it notes out. Let me clean up a little bit of my scissors and my Post-it note little thingies. So if you still have your Post-it notes left from last time, we're on the side that has just this little one on the left, and then our 2 windows close together, and the longer one on our right. And we are just going to put the word front right here. And then we're going to put the word candles right here. And then let's flip it over to the back. Well, let's give it a fold. Let's give it a good fold first. So if we start on the left-hand side, we have our mountain fold. And then we have our mountain fold, which is kind of done for us, and it puts our two windows together. Then we have our valley fold and our mountain fold.
Can this be made with 8.5 by 11 paper with the magic slide guide?
No, because this I think it's 11. These I think are each 4, so that's 19. I think this paper is 23 inches long. So you could piece it all together, but yeah, you need to, because you have these panels that you need these 3 windows that all flop on top of each other. Okay, so now we have our fold. We have our mountain, our valley, our mountain. Let's flip it over. And let's go ahead and just start attaching our layers. So we have our big panel that goes on the left-hand side. Now what we're looking at is our biggest panel is on our left, then our window, our 2 smaller windows, and then our smallest panels on our right. So we're just going to go ahead and start attaching pieces. We're going to attach our big colored panel right here. We actually do not have any words that we're going to see through the window. We're going to see die cuts. And then we're going to take our littlest one and attach it over on the furthest right panel. So go ahead and do that. Now we're going to get out our 2 die cut squares and our magic card slider. While you're pulling them out, don't lose any of your happy birthday letters, which I'm probably going to let you attach your happy birthday letters on your own. That's a little putsy, but I want to get my mom home. So I'm just
Tuck me into bed tonight too. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
I'm going to set my letters off to the side. But don't lose any of them while you're pulling things out of there. You have this piece that has your cake, and then you have your balloons. So the cake is going to end up attaching right here, but you want to fold over and make sure your cake is centered. So let's go ahead and attach our cake. We're going to put just a little bit of tape on the back of him. And now you're going to fold at this second fold. Okay, so we have our colored panel. We have our panel with our window. We have a valley fold. We're going to fold on that one just so we can put this window here. Because if you're stamping words, you're going to stamp right through that window. We're not doing words. We're going to put this die cut there. So we're going to kind of pick that up so we can position it. Now it doesn't matter if it's centered right here because you're not going to see that. All we want to make sure is that cake is centered through the window. So it can be cockeyed. See how mine is kind of crookedy cockeyed right there? It's okay because we're not going to see that. I just want to make sure that that is centered through the window. See how I keep flopping that back and forth to make sure it's centered through there? So set it down. Yep, it looks good. Now our other one is this balloons, which we are going to attach the balloons right to the back of this one. Now this is a little tricky because this is our front. So you put a Post-it note on there or you wrote on their front. And you just want to make sure that when you attach it, your balloons are centered. So this next window right here, we're going to attach them face down. So I'm going to put tape actually on the front of it, just on the outer edges. So just on the outer edges. And I could actually put tape, you know, just around my window too. But now to see for placement, I'm going to kind of pick that up and place it in the window there. So I'm attaching it right here, but I can't see the edge of that window, so I kind of want to turn that one over and attach it right there. Now if you have any tape sticking out, which I do, because I put it a little bit too far in, you want to just rub that off. And that might have been a good reason why to just put tape around the window. Should have thought of that first, Sarah. So see how mine is crooked on there? It doesn't matter, because remember, that piece is going to attach right there. Let's go ahead and assemble our magic card slider die. Remember on our first one, it was pre-done for us. This one, not so much. I am going to color mine orange. You don't need to do this. I'm just doing it so you can see the difference of my orange and my cream. So there are like score marks on here, but depending on if when Becky was making them, if she had one piece of paper or two, sometimes one is scored better than the other, but it doesn't really matter. It's just making a paper loop, and when we make the paper loop, we just want to bend it around it. Now I'm going to take a scrap piece of paper here and just show you how it doesn't even matter. So even if this piece wasn't in there, to make your paper loop, you just kind of take a scrap piece of paper, bend it around, make sure it extends past here, and then fold it over. And I'm going to put tape right here and make this little loop that slides up and down. You just want to make sure that there's extra space in there. Remember on our first one how there was extra space? So you just want to make sure that there's extra space. Now I'm going to go ahead and do that with my real one. Okay, so I have my slider. I bent it around, and then I bend it around again. It might be sticking out a little far, and I'm going to trim that off. But now I'm just going to put tape right here to attach my paper loop. So tape right on top of my paper loop. And I'm attaching that. So this just made a paper loop and it slides up and down. The important part is that there's extra space in here. Okay, now we're going to put tape on our two ends. The same side on the ends. And we're just going to attach that. Remember, when we're attaching it, we go right up to the score. Make sure we're below our shape, depending on our shape. And then just push it all the way down. It'll be probably sticking off one end, and we might have to trim it a little. And we're going to go ahead and put our paper loop, the piece that slides back and forth, we're going to put it all the way to the left. Now for attaching, let's see, get something darker. We're only putting tape on this middle panel. So tape, 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 tape. And then this piece is going to end up attaching right here. Okay, so go ahead and do that. This one we didn't go ahead and put our pattern paper on the front, so we'll do that after. It's fine. So we have that. We could put a little bit more tape on there if we wanted, but we're just gonna fold this over. This is a valley fold. We're just gonna fold that over. So we're sandwiching this die cut in between the windows. And if this happened to flap all the way over, we're going to flap it back. So now our three windows are piled on top of each other. We're going to take our end piece and just fold that in. And remember our little slider die cut right here? This little slider is going to attach to right there. So when we put tape on here, it's going to just attach right there. So because this one's our second one, I might be going a little bit faster. So I put tape on top of my slider, and this piece I folded in. So right now our 3 windows are all piled on top of each other. We're folding this flap in, and I put tape on our slider. We're going to fold that in, and that makes it slide. Slide, slide. Now we can go ahead and attach our front panel on there. Again, when you're attaching it, you might need to trim a little bit off of one side, which I do. Okay, so I made it a little long just so there was a little wiggle room in there for you, or in case I cut it bad. That's more the reason. Okay, so I'm just going to trim a little bit off of there. And we're going to attach that onto the front. Now if you want to, this is what we didn't do last time, we could attach this piece on and then trim it off, which I'm going to go ahead and do that right away. And this is just this piece right here.
Sarah, my computer froze up. I don't know if anybody else did or not.
Oh, mine isn't frozen.
Okay, good.
So mine is still going. Both my phone and my iPad are still
That's
going.
wonderful. I don't know. My computer's wonky.
Okay, so we're going to attach this onto the front. Yep, I can see a few people are saying that they're good, so that's
Okay,
good.
That's great. But it's my computer then.
Her computer might be sick too.
Yeah, probably saying, knock it off, Sue.
Okay, now I am just going to put this piece right on the front, and then I'm going to attach my letters later just so I can move on to the other part and I can get my mom home. So, but let's go to the inside first. So the inside, we will attach our candles. And again, this one you might need to trim a little bit too. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to leave it. I'm fine with it. So depending on if you're good or if you think you need to trim a little bit off, whatever you want to do. I'm going to take all my little Post-it noties and get them out of the way because I'm going to have to bring my die cutter over here in a little bit.
I'm going to shut my computer down for a minute. Just watch on there, so I'll be back up in a minute.
All right. Oops.
See what happens when I reboot.
So yeah, my mom's rebooting, so I'm going to kind of try and keep, you can keep an eye on them over there, Mom.
Yeah, I'm watching over there.
Okay. All right, and then we had our Make-A-Wish. That's going to go right here. This is what I meant. It just can't hang past the end or the score. So
And back up. It's good. All's
Okay.
good.
Good. So now this one, I found these dies from Impression Obsession, and I wanted something that I wasn't always putting words in there, and those worked perfectly. Okay, so now our happy birthday block, I did put foam tape on the back of it, and I am going to attach the letters in. If you guys want to do it while I'm talking, You can, I like to take a tweezers and just a little pile of glue and then dip it in my glue and then attach it. That's just going to be a little putsy, so I'm going to save that till the very end, so I can get my mom home. So, but I am going to go through the die cutting yet, so
I'm good.
we have that. So I did use foam tape, and if you want to wait to do this part until you get it, till you get your letters on there, you can wait to do that. I'm just going to pop mine up and I'll stick my letters on. The tweezer method works pretty good with the letters. I just like attaching them with a little bit of glue on the back of them. You can also use the microdot adhesive to attach them instead, if you want to do that instead. So now the birthday block, this is one of our die cuts, and I used this last year, so a lot of you might already have it, which is good. Just showing you another sample with it. Okay, a couple more pieces of foam tape. Can never have too much foam tape, right?
Right. Now that we figured it out, you figured it out, right?
Yeah. Well, I didn't even do it the good way today.
Do you still have kits, Sarah?
I still do have kits, yep. They're on the class page. If you want to get them at the same time and get the magic card kit, they just won't ship until the magic card kits are ready, which will be late next week or early the week after. So, but the videos are always saved on my YouTube channel, plus on my Facebook page. I think we're on both the class page and our regular page, and we're on YouTube. So I think it's pretty easy to find us now that I'm going on so many places. So you don't have to worry about where you have to be. I mean, that's even fun with just the happy birthday without the letters on them. But I will put the letters on them later. But yeah, so there's our two birthday cards. Now occasionally, I just want to point this out. Occasionally this is hanging off of here just slightly, and that just has to do with, scoring a long piece of paper. And the machine doesn't always score it. I mean, it's supposed to score it exact, but occasionally it's off a little bit. So every once in a while you will need to trim a little bit off, that end right there. So I'm fine with it, but depending, the white, I did trim those just a hair, so, which we'll talk about that in just a minute. So while maybe you guys are attaching your letters, I am going to get my die cutting machine out here. My space is probably a little bit smaller than yours, especially because I need to get mine on the camera, where you could probably just move to where your die cutter is. So I'm gonna just clear my space and get my die cutter so we can talk about die cutting the cards. So, okay.
So are there extra items to purchase if you still have the kits?
We still have the kits, and in the kit you get the 2 cards, plus you get, so in the kit you get the 2 cards complete, plus you get this extra packet of stuff, which if you're going to die cut with me right now, you can pull out some of the extra pieces, because then you can practice the die cutting. Otherwise, we do have just the plain flip-flop cards that come either 5 white or 5 Grocer Craft with envelopes. They don't come with the extra pattern paper. So the kit does come with all of these pieces. So the 2 cards plus the extras. So let's get our die cutting machine out here. All right. Then I'm going to pull out the Grocer Craft. Yeah, I'm going to pull out the Grocer Craft one first. Okay, so when you are die cutting, you're going to kind of look at it, and when you're looking at, so on your instructions, if you look at the front, so with the little piece to your left, and I like to fold it so then I can actually see where I'm die cutting. So we're going to fold the little piece is on our left, then we have this as the front, and then we have so mountain fold, valley fold, mountain fold. So these three pieces, the front that attaches to here, that goes through right there, these are the three pieces that we need to die cut. I'm first going to show you with our deep etch dies. This end piece doesn't cut because this is just the solid back, and this little one doesn't cut because it's the one that flops. So it's these three pieces, 1, 2, 3, that die cut. So if you fold it just like that, where you have your small end sticking out and your large end sticking out, you're going to die cut right here off to the right hand side. I like to die cut, if I'm putting an overlay on it, I like to die cut this piece first. So this is my overlay. And remember, you have to die cut, in the 2 inches that are right here, because this little piece is what flops around. So you need to die cut so it fits in that area right there. So it has to fit basically the 2 inches that are over onto the right hand side. So if I'm die cutting my overlay piece first, I like to use a slightly bigger die, but you can use the same size. But on this one, I'm going to just show you with the bigger die. So I'm going to cut my overlay first. Oops, and I didn't adjust my die cutter. So hang on a second. I can't believe I had trouble die cutting a piece of text weight paper. I think because I had it set up for thicker stuff, so cutting the thin stuff, it didn't even want to cut it. Okay, so now, once I have that, I'm just going to kind of lay it on top of there. I'm going to start with my deep etch dies. So the deep etch dies are the black dies, and they can cut through all 3 layers at one time. And I have a piece of removable tape on here, and I'm just going to kind of set it. I'm going to position it inside my bigger window. If I used one that was exactly the same size, I can still do it. I just have to kind of, and I'll do it with the next one. The next one I'll show you, I'll do it with the exact same size. But I set it in there, hold it down, and then I can cut it through. It's going to cut through this front layer, this next layer, and this back layer all at one time. So if you have the deep etch dies, you can just set it on there and it'll cut through all 3 layers at once. If you don't have the deep etch dies, we're going to go through that next. So with the deep etch dies, it just cuts through all 3 of them, and they're stacked perfectly on top of each other. So that's how I did this card. I cut my 2 pieces of text weight paper, and I did have those together. I just didn't have a candle one here, but I had those together when I die cut this. Then I set it on the front, and I just kind of set my deep etch die inside to place it in the middle, and then I just die cut it. It was that easy. So, but let's go through if you don't have a deep edge die. Well, I only have my deep edge dies in here, but I'm going to do it one panel at a time.
Okay.
Okay. So, remember how I was saying, so we're going to fold our card first. So again, we're starting out with the little side on the left, mountain fold, kind of unfold it, then you have a mountain fold, then you have a valley fold, and a mountain fold. And we're just going to kind of slip that one inside there. So sometimes this end right here will be sticking out a little bit. So if it is sticking out, and I'm exaggerating it, but if it's sticking out, you can go ahead and trim that off. Okay? So if that end panel, like right now it's lined up perfectly, but if that end panel is sticking out slightly, you might want to trim it off. And maybe it doesn't bother you at all. So, but let's set our, right now if we're using a single die, we're going to cut on this panel, then we need to cut on this panel and on this panel. So I am first going to cut my, actually let me go get my non-deep edge die. Okay, hang on, I'll be right back. First I am going to cut my overlay. Now when I did the 2 layers, the one for the inside and the outside, I kind of set them up like this, and I did cut these at the same time. Because this is a text weight paper, it's easy enough to cut through both layers at the same time.
Okay, so what size is the slightly larger die, and do you sell it?
The slightly larger die is part of our squares layering die set. It is die 021, and it is 2 inches, where the deep edge die is 1 5/8. So those two fit together. The deep edge die with the squares layering die set, which is die 021. So first I'm going to cut my overlays. And this time I am doing my overlays with the same size die as what my window is going to be in my card. Because if you only have one rectangle die, so I'm going to show you how to do that. Where in class we used the rectangle layering die set, and then that fit with the deep edge die, and they layered nice together. But these happen to be the same size, so. So this is our front panel. We have our overlay, and I have my die. I need to cut this same shape on this panel, and this panel over, I don't know if you can see it, on this panel, and this panel. And they all need to pile up, so you can't just randomly cut them. So I'll kind of put my overlay on there. You can kind of catch the lip of your die cut piece with, you know, the die that's sticking up, and then I'll take a pencil. And this is a little bit tedious without the deep edge dies. And when I did the birthday batch flip-flop card, this is how I did it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need dies that cut through all the layers of paper. And that's why I did the deep edge dies, because I was like, this is insane. So now with the pencil marks, I can go ahead and I'm going to grab another piece of removable tape. It's doable, but the deep edge dies are really nice to cut through all 3 layers at the same time. So now we have that one. and it does match our overlay, right? Okay, so now we're going to take this one, we're going to fold it in, because remember now we need to get the rectangle on that panel, and I'm going to do the same process. I'm going to take my die and I'm going to kind of set it in there and kind of feel that the lip of the die cut, and I'm going to trace it.
Didn't we do this, Sarah?
We did this,
Oh my
yes.
gosh, yeah.
And then I'm going to open it up. Now I'm going to set it back on there. And because I had my tape on here, I don't even have the bottom one to follow. But I'm going to set it back inside my pencil marks. So yeah, we did this like with 50 cards without the deep etch ones.
Yes.
But if you're starting, you know, maybe you don't want, and you're just kind of playing with the cards and you have some dies. So now we need it on this panel. So we can just kind of flop that one over and do the same thing. So yeah, it is doable, but it's just a little bit nicer with being able to cut them all at one time. And then we set it in there and we catch the lip of the shape and we draw on the inside. Then we can take that off. And again, place our die there. Hold it in place. Yeah, removable tape is now my friend, which I had it for many years, didn't use it.
Yeah, I found a bunch at home, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. So now we have, oh, and I cut it on the wrong one. Crap. Okay, sorry. Hopefully you weren't following along. If I owe you a card, let me know. I traced it onto the wrong panel. So now I just have one on my back panel, which is fixable by just putting a layering swatch there, but, and hence, that's why sometimes I take Post-it notes and I put them where I need to put my words or die cut. So yeah, I put it on the wrong one. But again, that is our back inside panel, so we just put a layering swatch right over the top. If you were doing it with me and you did the wrong panel, let me know, I'll send you another card, or you can use a layering swatch and just cover that up, because that's the back of your card. So anyways, now we have those three that all pile on top of each other with our overlay that matches. So a little bit tedious, or you can use, you know, the deep etch die that will cut through all the layers at one time. So anyways, that was our class tonight with our flip-flop cards. Let me get this out of the way. So thank you for joining me for our 2 flip-flop cards using the deep etch dies, or introducing you to those, because I know a bunch of you got them. So, and you're probably, after watching me do that last one, you're probably like, oh, thank goodness. So, anyways, thanks for joining me for Fun Time Thursday with flip-flop cards. Have a great night, guys.